Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guests tonight are filmmakers Tom and Medina Schultz. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Hi, Rob.
Yeah, it's going to be fun tonight. I just watched your horror short film, The Pencil. How'd you come up with that idea? I like it. It's pretty unique.
Oh, thanks. Well, I was inspired by, a couple of other short films that I had seen. A lot of David Sandberg stuff. He did like Lights Out. There was a short film about like Animal Crossing. I don't know if you've seen that on like YouTube. Well, anyway, I guess what inspired me was like, doing something short and quick, where we knew we, could have like a small budget, get away with some of the, cheap scares. So I guess just those other filmmakers kind of inspired me. And then we sat down together, wrote the project. Long story short, we were going on vacation to Kazakhstan, which where Medina's from. And so we always wanted to like work together and do a project together. And we thought, hey, we're going to have this, long month, or like a month long, vacation. So, why not try and do a short film project over there? And, and then, then that's, how we came up with the story.
Yeah, I love the premise about the wooden pencil. Who made that wooden pencil? That's pretty neat looking.
We were very lucky to have a great team there in Kazakhstan. Everyone was local except for, I guess, two of us. And our art director custom made this for us. I believe she reached out to someone who like professionally work with wood, and they created this.
And I love how you made it into a foreign horror short film too, which was a plus. I like that because it was a foreign horror film.
Thanks. Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into it. How do you pronounce that demonic creature's name? It's really hard to pronounce. And how'd you come up with that name in the creature?
Sure. Well, Tom came up with an original script with the idea of the pencil, and for me it was important to add some Kazakh traditional folklore details to that to make it authentic, to add to tell the stories that no one here in the States know. And the creature is called Jesternak, which directly translates as copper claw. And it is a creature from folklore, horror legends in Kazakhstan and in Central Asian region.
I know that creature is pretty creepy. Let's talk about the claw and the special effects and the makeup on the creature. How did that all come together?
Sure. So, Medina, she introduced this character to me, and I thought, she was very interesting. So, we just from doing our research online and, seeing photos and seeing how they look, that's how we kind of came up with like a rough idea to give our makeup artist, because it's like a beautiful young woman with long, nails, copper nails. So like we gave her some like reference photos for her to like go off of. And it was a very easy, I guess, setup because the copper nails was actually just duct tape that was like spray painted gold and black. So it was a very cheap setup, but it paid off. Where a lot of people were, I think that like one shot is like the one like scariest moment because you don't see the monster, but you see the creature coming towards you, and a lot of people get scared at that moment. So that's how we came up with the effects for the monster, for like the hands, and then for the face. when we were showing like test audiences about the monster, we weren't really getting the reaction, like the jump scare reaction that we were looking for or hoping for. So we, decided to do a little visual effects to make it more like have the eyes, bulge out a little, and even though like not to, ruin too much or spoil too much, but it's just a quick little jump scare. But we wanted to like really, hit it home with, hiring visual effects artists to give some scars to the face and just make it more, I guess, scary to the audience.
I love how you went by practical effects. I tell this to everybody. I love practical effects in film, and I love how you went to the practical approach of it.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about the actress. Was she your main idea to play the main role as the artist?
Yep, Mika. Yeah, she was our first and only choice. Well, I shouldn't say only choice, but she, we've seen her work. She actually came recommended from our DP, who had worked with her before. But she mainly comes from like the directing world, and she really hasn't like acted too much. So I guess we were both very pleasantly surprised on her performance, from being like a first time actress, and she just really blew everyone away.
She did. I liked it. She did really good. And on the start in the film, I love the beautiful cinematography shot where you see her carrying her, art utensils and, and getting ready to go paint this forest. That was a beautiful zoom pan shot on the starting of the film.
Thank you. Yeah, it also was a part of the plan to show the beauty and of the nature of Kazakhstan, because it's still not a very well-known destination for people in this part of the world. And as soon as we decided that we will be filming something there, I already knew that one way or another I want to show that particular spot because it's like so beautiful and so untouched.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about the music score in the film too.
Yeah, so my composer, who I've worked with before on several other film projects, his name is Alan Pierre. He we did the score together. He was influenced by it a lot. So I don't know if you could tell, in the scene where she's drawing the apple, that scene was had a kind of like a child fantasy like atmosphere where we didn't want to show, or at least like tell the audience that like, hey, this is like a horror movie. We wanted to, to the average viewer who's like going into these like short films not knowing what it is. Most of them think it's like going to be like a comedy or like a fantasy, but then it like snaps on a dime that like, oh no, this is something more sinister. And so like that was, so we try to hit those themes with like the music, which was like a big, well, it was very important for us to like hit those notes and those music cues, which I thought he did a very great job in doing.
And I also loved the visual effects, like what you talked about, how they showed the apple and, of course, the roses and the money. That was some great visual effects. It just felt lifelike how it, just, came right off the pages.
Yeah. A lot of, like, in-camera work where, we just hid somebody and then they quickly, put the apple there or put whatever we were trying to do. But yeah, a lot of that has to do with our cinematographer, Sain. He was very great with his crew and helping us, wrangle everything and getting the perfect shots for everything.
And I love how you went by like a urban legend and a different story, because I love watching films about deals with paranormal and mythology and urban legends. So, are you guys really big into urban legends? Which did that inspire you to make this film as well?
Yeah, I would say that we Medina shared. I get one of her friends said that like in Kazakhstan or in like Central Asia, there's a whole universe. They kind of referenced it to like the Marvel Cinematic Universe of like all these monsters and creatures that no one has really shown like a proper light on. And when we were told this story, we thought it was very intriguing and wanted to touch on that subject and hopefully go back and find other interesting creatures that we can go back and tell their stories and show them to the world.
So I'm going to ask you guys each a question. You're going to answer this. Is there an urban legend story that you really enjoyed and it really gets under your skin?
No, you can go. I feel like I talked about that already.
Do you mean urban legends in Kazakhstan or just in general?
In general, what's your favorite urban legend that you like that still gets to you? Which gave you this idea for making this film. What's your favorite?
I think, well, first off, I am not very big into horror at all.
Okay.
As a viewer, this was never my favorite genre. When I was younger, I was just too scared and too emotional over this, and then with time, I just kind of stayed away from it. Making a horror, on the other hand, was an amazing adventure. So, yeah, I can't really recall or think of any particular urban legend. I think for me, it was just like this story of Jester, now just remembering this character from my childhood when I was like reading some fairy tales or some stories. That what basically inspired this part of the story.
Okay, and you, Tom?
Well, I'm very like interested into like a lot of like mythical creatures. I wouldn't know if this is like an urban legend, but like. Or I think it is, but the Wendigo, if you've heard that,
yeah.
Native American like monster creature that it's almost kind of like a Freddy Krueger thing where it's all about the dream and killing people, which it's always entertaining to me, and I've always wanted to do something like to tell that kind of Native American story, but like set in like a Western horror film, where different time periods where things are a lot more deadly, I guess.
So have you guys thought about doing a feature film on this? Because this could play off as a pretty good feature film.
Oh yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we've discussed it and we're in the process of writing. A lot of people have said that actually that they wish that it was longer.
Yeah,
they wanted to see more of it. Which we're all we're very grateful and for all the compliments people have been saying to us, and it is on our list of things to do is to write and work on a possible feature. And to continue that story of the pencil.
I would love to see that. You can make it like into an anthology of films where the pencil goes from one person to another and you can tell like different stories. I think that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys meet? And I know, Medina, this is like your first horror film you were part of. Tom, is this your first time ever doing a horror film, or have you did any other horror films?
No, it's actually my first horror film as well. I directed a couple of other smaller things. They weren't, horror related. And then, but yeah, I can let Medina tell you how we met, and yeah.
Yeah, I guess a little disclaimer is that this is not only my first horror film, it's just my first experience in filming at all. Because Tom is a professional filmmaker. We are a couple. We've been a couple for 5 years now. So we actually met just randomly on a trip in San Francisco where we were both visiting, and the rest is history. So, and during one of our trips to Kazakhstan, when he wanted to make a project, I just really wanted to help because we were talking about it a lot. I'm just as a viewer, I really appreciate the cinematography and just was always curious about how this whole thing works. And yeah, and I think in a low budget conditions and environment, it was just like all hands on deck kind of situation where my entire family was in there, our friends helped a lot, and yeah, so this is a very, I guess, family supported project.
So what was going through your guys' heads when you decided to do a horror short film? Did you always wanted to do a horror film? And what were you thinking when you were writing the screenplay and how you wanted this horror film play out?
Well, I think I did everything the wrong way when making this movie, because we knew we were going on vacation and we were going to be there for a month, so we knew we wanted to do a project together, so we pretty much wrote the script like the day before we left to, catch that flight. And, we were trying to, wrangle and get all the props we could here and then get whatever else we needed to over there. And then, there was also a language barrier, which I need to give a shout out to Medina, who, not only produced and wrote it, but she was also, the translator on set. And, so those, she basically did everything and, made this project what it is. So I guess in terms of like preparation, a lot of storyboarding, a lot of, just so that we could tell the crew and show them, what it is that we were planning on doing and what our intentions were. And, when, again, when I was trying to do this horror film, again, I was inspired a lot from, Lights Out, trying to, do something very quick and short, with like limited locations, limited crew. So when I was writing it, I had to keep that in mind of like, okay, where are we going to film? Oh, we have, Medina's mom's apartment. We can shoot there. Oh, her friend works at an art studio. Maybe we can film there. So like, as we were working on it, we were, picking the locations based off of what we could get our hands on, which is a lot of, independent, what can I get for free or what can I get for a favor? So we try to, do it that way. And, but I think at the end of the day, it all, worked out for the better.
You guys did a very good job on your first horror film. So, do you think you're going to do another horror film? Is that where you're going to start making more films towards the horror genre? Is that where you're pushing? Or are you going to go other directions as well?
Well, I personally would love to do another horror movie. The fan receptions that we've been getting at like horror specific film festivals have been, crazy. A lot of people, turn up and they show up and, watch the films, not even knowing like what's going, what they're getting into. And, because the other film festivals I've been to with my other projects, not as many people will show up or, they're very like genre specific. So the horror community has been, really great. And I would love to, keep that interaction going.
Hey, that's pretty good because the horror community is really good. I mean, if you could make some good horror films, you're setting the community for life. It's just like one big happy family, man.
Yeah. That's what I think I love the most about it.
So when you showed your film at Days of the Dead, how was the audience reception towards your film? And And what was your reaction sitting in the room with the fans watching the film?
I think Days of the Dead was definitely one of the best experiences so far that we had with festivals in general, and definitely having that very theme specific crowd helped a lot. They were super welcoming. They asked all the right questions. We had a chance to have a Q&A session with them, and I think overall it was just great to see that there is a community and there is the audience where you can share your film, even though it's not in English. It's always hard to have this communication and try convincing the audience to watch something where there's like subtitles or something that they're not very familiar with. But it never felt weird or it never felt unwelcome. It was always a great acceptance.
Yeah, and a lot of people are just asking more about the monster and like them wanting to research it themselves, which was, one of our biggest points was to shine some light on this character. And, I think we did an okay job, but yeah.
You did, because you got George and Audrey are very great people. They love their horror film festival, and they always give indie horror filmmakers, a chance to shine with their horror films. They're really great people that run Days of the Dead.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
So, since Medina's not you're not into horror, since you did your first horror film, Medina, have you watched any horror films?
I don't think we did. Life got really busy lately with all the festivals and just like, our day jobs too. So it wasn't like a lot of opportunities to get into that yet.
Well, I think you've seen more independent horror movies, if any.
Definitely during the festivals, yes.
All right.
Like a lot of short films.
So, George, what would be that one horror film you would show Medina to introduce her into the world of horror? What would be that one film you would pull out and be like, hey, I want you to watch this, Medina, and let me know what your thoughts is. What would be that one horror film you'd make her watch?
For me, I would say it would have to be It, but I feel like it would have to be the Tim Curry version first.
Okay.
Just because as a child that like terrified me. Just I've never been able to look at clowns the same way. And then for like gut wrenching horror, like what the hell am I watching? I would have to say like House of the Thousand Corpses, where I was introduced to that movie when I was way too young. I shouldn't have seen it, and it's like definitely messed me up. But I would, I guess have to watch it this weekend and introduce her to these movies, which I don't think she wants to watch.
Hey, yeah. You can make her watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it teaches you. And the cool thing about it is when she watches it, she'll get the moral lesson. It teaches you the safety use of power tools.
Yeah.
So where can everybody find you on social media to see what you guys are doing next?
Well, they can follow our film, which is the Pencil Short Film, on Instagram and Facebook. And from there they can, see our website or reach out to us personally. We both monitor the account and post. They can follow us there.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, when you see Marina, tell her I said thank you, man.
Okay, yeah, we will for sure.
She'll be like, "Who?" No, I'm just kidding. All right, and everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight. Have a great